So continuing in the topic, but in the further syllabus, taking blessings from His Holiness Harivilas Maharaj and thanking him for all the glorious work that he has done lifelong. And then thanking and taking blessings from His Grace Radhesham Prabhu, who has done the wonderful foundational work in the world of preaching in terms of making it systematic and with syllabus. On the topic of who is God, now we are at the final stage of understanding our relationship with God. We have spent enough time in looking at who is God. And again, it was not our whimsical conclusion. It was as much shocking for me as much it is for many about what is in the Bhagavad Gita, because we study Bhagavad Gita from outside, not from inside. And today we'll dive into the topic of, okay, great, we learn there is soul, like Atma, I am the soul. And then we understand there is God. We understand the connection that, or the difference is, I am small, similar to God, spiritual spark, but very, very small. Whereas God is unlimited in every dimension, and I am limited in every dimension. Okay, I got it. But what is next? Well, our relationship with God is eternal in nature. It is the original relationship that we have. It's the real relationship that we have. But we also have relationships in this world. And our relationships in this world are perverted reflection of our original relationships in the spiritual world. What does that mean? The relationships in the spiritual world are eternal, permanent, and real. Whereas our relationships in this world are temporary. They are in the mood of, I want to enjoy many a times. And then they come to end with the end of the life. Those who go through the past life regression and so many other therapies to see who they were in the last life, they notice that how many parents we had, how many siblings we had, how many spouses we had, how many children we have. It's unlimited. And every time we start with the equal enthusiasm, and then we go through the highs and lows of the relationship. Either we are ecstatic sometimes, we are morose sometimes, ek duje ke liye, you see the whole Bollywood, Hollywood built of love and the separation love, and the songs about the love, the dance about the love. There are novels about the love. But the love in this world is mostly tinted with how I can extract happiness out of the relationship. And because it is selfish in nature, we go through the push-pull, where we're trying to pull more and give less. As a result, the relationships are mostly strained. So, and especially the time zone we are in, which is Kali Yuga, which started 5,000 years back. At this point in time, by now in society, it's very hard for people to trust people. Like if you are doing business, you have to write big, big contracts. A simple contract will also go through 50 revisions with the legal department to make sure it is accurately written. And then when we get married, there was a time when, marriage was seen as the blessing from the God and the relationship that is life after life after life. Then people said, even if you survive your relationship in this life, it will be great. And now it is more like a living relationship. It means we are together till we enjoy. The moment it is not enjoyment, let's separate, because getting married is like a bondage. And still those who want to get married, because at the point of separation, there is a division of property, and state slave Washington, it is equal. People write prenuptial agreements. That means they already decide at the point of separation how the property will be divided, or your property is yours and mine is mine, whatever that is. That just explains the shallow nature of human relationships. People may spend months and months and years dating each other before they get married. But if you listen to some of the conversations in the divorce court, the separation court, the way people blaspheme each other, the way people talk bad about each other, that just confuses one the heck out, that Really, these people spend months and years identifying the right match, and then while separating, they're so bitter about each other. And you'd think that first time one gets married, it's 50-50 chance that it will succeed. And now people are experienced. Second time they get married, they have a higher chance of success. No. Second time marriage, divorce rates are higher. So that's just the diverse side of it. Today, in today's day and age, the relationship between parents and kids are also strained. The relationship between siblings are strained. Like many land pieces in India are basically in the court because the siblings are not able to decide how to share. Parents didn't decide or did a good job of pre-assigning what goes to who. So these are all symptoms of Kali Yuga. These are all symptoms of how the relationships that we are trying to relish and enjoy are becoming more and more shallow. And it's just a sign of the times that we are living in. There is not too much to break. But in spite of that, we have many wonderful relationships, whether it is siblings, whether it is spouse, whether it is sweethearts, whether it is our kids, it could be pets. We have many wonderful relationships. That cannot be still denied. But those relationships are also under the control of time. And even in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, it is explained that, say for example, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 9th chapter and 14th shloka, where it is said that, in my opinion, this is all due to the inevitable time under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. The clouds and the wind is a very powerful example because the clouds are very, very powerful. Clouds are so powerful that a cloudburst can give us disasters like we see in the Himalayas. The cloudburst can drench the whole cities like Mumbai. The cloudburst can kill so many people. There can be flash floods. Villages and cities can flow into that. Such a powerful cloud, when there is wind, the wind will just carry the cloud elsewhere and render the cloud completely irrelevant in the sense of the flood and the risk. So just like the clouds are very, very powerful, but a simple wind can separate the clouds. They don't have the ability to stay together. Just like the wind will take the cloud and make it irrelevant. Likewise, people living on this face of Earth, not just in this planet, but many, many planets, they could be very powerful in their own time. They could be ruling the earth. They could be the dictators in their countries. They could be the head of United Nations. They could be the chief of NATO. It does not matter. The power of time is such that they will become irrelevant over a period of time. They will be separated. Just like that, even the family members may be together very tightly bonded, every minute, every day, checking on each other and living in a very affectionate way. But the power of time will separate everyone. Very fact we came together, that is also a fact that we are going to separate. We are like an arrow shot from, so once you shoot an arrow, the only option the arrow has to land somewhere. We are also an arrow shot from the womb to the tomb. We are born, that means we are going to die. Just inevitable fact of life. We met our family, we came together by the power of time, we are going to separate by the power of time. And hence, it is very, very important to understand what is eternal and what is temporary. Because when we focus on temporary, the result is also temporary. It could be happiness for some time, but that is also temporary. Another shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam again talks about many planks and sticks, unable to stay together, are carried away by the force of reverse waves. So another example that is given is, the wooden logs and sticks that are floating on the water. They may want to be together, but they don't have the power to continue together unless the water keeps it together, right? And similarly, although we are intimately related with our friends and family members, we are unable to stay together because of our varied past deeds and the waves of time. Our karma flow may bring us together for some time. that is not at all a guarantee that we will be together sometime. If at all, if you really want to be together forever, the only way is the whole family takes up spirituality so seriously, because even in the spiritual world, there are families and they have their Vaikuntha Vimanas and they travel together and they live together. So if you really want to be in the spiritual world together, the only way is that as a whole family, you take up pure devotional service. If not, we're bound to separate. So in this temporary relationship that we are talking about, so God is eternal. He is not depending on when the earth was created or the sun was created or when this universe was created. A few billion years plus minus, like the Lord Brahma exists for say 4.3 billion years. And compared to that, our human life is like what? Not even like a mosquito. But God is eternal, but only God is not eternal. God, the soul is also eternal. So if God is eternal, soul is eternal, what other thing is eternal? Our relationship with God. And this eternal relationship with God, which goes beyond the power of time, which goes beyond the power of where we are, that powerful relationship is something that we have forgotten. And that relationship is basically Sanatan Dharma. When you say Dharma, Dharma is our eternal nature, something that cannot be separated. I think we looked at it in the previous sessions. Just like salt is salty, water flows. Likewise, we serve. Service is our nature. And the service, when offered to God, is where it belongs. When it is offered to something else, is a perverted reflection of our relationship with God. And it works in the context for temporary, but that's not the eternal thing. For example, a cousin of mine went through depression because his dog died. The dog was very cute and it was a therapy dog. It was supposed to get people out of depression. But when the dog died, my cousin went through depression, and through that depression, he took up the spiritual path. So, who may get spiritual sukruti from where? You never know. Just as a man suffering from amnesia forgets his parents and relatives, a person who goes through, there are so many medical diseases or conditions where people just forget who they are or they forget who their family is. And that's a tough period in life, because the very people who are supposed to support you, you don't even recognize them. For you, who are they kind of a situation. And sometimes you get to the situation because you do not trust them, you do not want them around. So psychological conditions can get us into that condition. So we are also in the similar situation where we have forgotten about our eternal relationship with God. We were with God some point in time. We chose to separate. By our choice, we came to a place where we wanted to experiment becoming God. We were not alone. There were some other children of God who also wanted to play rebellious. They also wanted to experiment being away from God. They were also separated from God, and we all are together now. We all are rebels. We all are rebels who chose to do the rebellion with God, and we came. So basically, then we were sent to experiment if we can actually become happy away from God. So now that we are here in this world, what are we trying to do? We're trying to transpose our relationship with God into relationships of this world. But our relationship with God is so profound that it cannot be replaced with things of this world. As a result, we have to fill in a lot of big vacuum with a lot of things. So spouse-centeredness. Spouse-centeredness is, I come from Maharashtra, so they say bailya. In English, we say henpeck husband. Or, in the Western world, we may say it's a romantic couple, right? But whatever you call it in whichever culture, it doesn't matter. The point is, people spend good part of their life trying to find a partner of life and see how we can extract happiness out of that relationship. And in many movies, they show only the struggle of coming together. Like parents are not allowing and the girl and boy want to come together. and there is a great struggle, and at the end finally they come together, and as if they, at the movie ends by saying they lived happily ever after. Well, no, the real story begins after that. Where very soon, when they actually spend time with each other, it becomes important who is trying to make who happy, and then the mental conditioning and the expectations and the high and lows of what those expectations are met or not. So the life becomes stretch again. So it's only the illusion of happiness is only in the planning stage. If I do this, I'll become happy. If I marry this person, I'll become happy. If I get this job, I'll become happy. If I go to this place, I'll become happy. If I have this dog, I'll become happy. If I buy a house, I'll become happy. But just like in the story of Vaman Dev, we learned that all these desires which we feel, we will become happy by fulfilling. When we actually complete those desires, we get the temporary satisfaction of having achieved something, but right after that, the mind will trick us into next level of desire and next level of desire and next level of desire, and it is a never-ending game. For example, we are not able to put a box and say, if I get this much money, I'll be happy, and then actually live a whole life with that definition. We are not able to. The moment we achieve that level of money, we redefine our boundaries and say, actually, I'll be happy if I get this level of money, right? So money is one example. Spouse-centeredness means basically people live their life around their spouse, how to please your spouse. The family-centeredness. Many of us spend a lot of time just making our family life happy. And it is a stretch for many people who are separated from, they relocate across countries to become happy. We are one of those. And then we try to build our happiness around the family. But many people get a very, very rude shock when the kids come into the teenage. And that's like the whole American story. I assume Europe, India is on the similar lines. The rude American awakening is all these cutie children who were babbling so nicely, were running under your legs and climbing up on your shoulders. The moment they reach for teens, right? The American culture is we should not listen to our parents. We should be, I don't want to be mama's boy. I don't want to be, so we want to be our own. The identity of that soul starts to develop. The karma from the last life becomes active, and that person is driven by the desires of their own about how to become happy. And they may carry some life after life definition of what happiness means, which now there is a script. The parents have a script of how to become happy, and the children have a script of how to become happy, and those scripts collide. And when those scripts collide in the teenage is a struggle period between the parents and children, because now there is a generational gap about what to expect, what are the values, what is the culture, what is right, what is wrong. Those scripts are fighting. People are not fighting. Scripts are fighting. And as a result, the teenagers become more and more rebellious. They rather connect with other teenagers. And that is why the American culture is at the age 18, get out or you're free. Either way, there is a socially accepted path of separation. In India, it is not like that. Age 20, 25, 30, 35, you can still be with your parents, you'll be okay. But, or full life, stay with parents, you'll actually gain a lot of respect in the society. But in America, if you continue all your life with your parents, you'll be looked down upon amongst your friend circle and everyone. So there is this whole concept of individuality of the soul, individuality of the person, and a person is independent to be enjoyed, and a person's happiness at the center. That's the American culture. And what happens is the teenage becomes difficult for everyone, including the parents who migrated with great struggle. They went through lots of highs and lows of uncertainty to relocate and settle into the greener pastures, the American dream. And then they struggle through the mortgage, and they struggle through the visas, and they struggle through the jobs, and trying to adapt to the culture. While all this is happening, they're thinking they're doing all this for their kids, only to redefine what does that mean. When the kids become big, they have a completely different definition of happiness. And if the definition of happiness is not matching, that same family, which is so cutie and together, can fall apart, because fundamentally, we all are self-centered in this world. We all are self-centered. That is why If my definition of happiness does not match with your definition of happiness, here we go. We can separate, no matter what that relationship is. Because we are the people who rebelled with God for our own happiness. We can very easily rebel with anyone of this world for our happiness. So the key to so-called happiness of this world is, if you want people around you to be happy with you, you have to continuously invest into their happiness. As long as they are happy with you. If they're not happy the way they want it, that's the end of the story. But that's the nature of the family-centeredness. Feel free to stop me. Money-centeredness. This whole greed is good, capitalism, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, where you can chase as much money you want, no problem, has led to these isms. Different isms are different ways to experiments of becoming happy, whether it is capitalism, socialism, communism. All these isms have their strengths and weaknesses. And when they're practically implemented, some of it are more successful than others. But when people keep money as the center of their life, typically the value system can go down. Because the value system can go down, it will not matter, the climate change will not matter, the poor people will not matter, the religious principles will not matter, the social principles will not matter. Only that matters is how I can be more powerful and acquire more money. And an 80-year-old can be planning for another 80 years of enjoyment, right? And we have seen people like Jeffrey Epstein and things like that, where money and the happiness, their selfish happiness, is at the center of their world. Work-centeredness. Many people believe if I work really, really hard, I'll become rich, right? As a result, there is a lots of workaholic behavior where 24/7 people want to work. And the fun part is, because they're working so hard, actually they don't have time to relish what they're earning. And by the time they are done with earnings and all that, their kids have grown up and they have moved on their way, and their, the romantic partner at one point in time is getting too old, and they forgot to enjoy the life, even in the materialistic sense of it. And as a result, this work-centeredness may give you some sense of achievement because you are rising through the ranks in the company, but it will also be very limited even in the context of this world. Forget about spiritual world. Even in the context of this world, it becomes very limited, because you can work as hard as you want, but only at the cost of the relationships you have around you. And again, what is the purpose of human life? That is to be understood. The purpose of the human life is to reconnect our relationship with God. And because we can die any moment, death can arrive any moment, we should be using every moment to reconnect our relationship with God, such that this becomes our last life. Definitely the workaholic behavior does not buy us what we are looking for. We may waste a very, very valuable chunk of our productive life in just making some money, which becomes absolutely useless when you're old, because beyond your basic needs, what do you do with the money? Possession-centeredness. I want this, I want that. I want this, I want that. You buy one car, you want second car. You get second car, third car. You buy phone, now you have new version of the phone. The houses, you keep buying and buying and buying. There is no limit to chasing the possessions of this world. So we are also trying to fill the vacuum in our relationship with God with something else. Now God is absent in our life. We are trying to fill it with something else. And all these pleasures initially look like they're going to give us pleasure. Ultimately, they will give us misery only. Pet-centeredness. Either we can serve God or we can serve dog. Based on that, our next life is decided. We can become a dog or we can go back to God. Very simple. Friends and enemy-centeredness. So friends, some people can do anything for their friends. Right? But then some people are so enemy-focused that whole their life, they're continuously discussing and deciding and planning and contemplating how to take over their enemies. And as a result, they forget to actually live life, release the human experience. That is lost. And this life, although it looks like it is filled with beauty, just this rose was extremely beautiful yesterday. But today, what is it? It's more like a fertilizer. So even a beautiful, fragrant, very smooth to touch rose can become just a piece of, contribution to fertilizer tomorrow. Every beauty of this world is also like that. Every beauty of this world is nothing more than a recycle bin for the nature. You can build wonderful buildings. You can have very wonderful life partner. You can have a very cute looking dog. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. It all comes from the earth and goes back in the earth. So the temporary nature of this world is to be understood, because if we chase temporary things, we will get temporary things. So that brings us to the topic of what is the right thing to do? What are my actions which are right? And next session, His Grace Ramamukunda Prabhu, who is a very, very talented preacher, long-term serving member of ISKCON, and very sincere and humble personality. He's my co-host on this program. He will take us through the law of karma next session. I invite all of you to attend, where we will go deeper into what are the choices we make to go into spiritual world, and what are the choices we can make to go to the hellish planets. The good news is going to spiritual world is free. Mark my words. Going to the spiritual world is free. How is that? The connection with devotees, spending time with devotees, association with devotees is free. You go to any temple, especially any ISKCON temple, the prasadam is free. You get to hear kirtan, bhajan for free. The deity darshan is for free. You can chant God's name day in, day out for free. Nobody is asking you for a royalty on that. You can read lots of information, internet. All the spiritual books are available. Asitis.com, full Bhagavad Gita is given. Vedabase.com, whole spiritual library is given. Free, right? So going to the spiritual world is freely available. Let's talk about how to go to hell. To buy cigarettes, cash is required. To buy drugs, cash is required. To buy alcohol, meat, cash is required. To go gambling, cash is required. If somebody wants to go to Las Vegas and get into this womanizing business, cash is required. You want to attack other people in this world, cash is required. You want to launch wars with other countries, cash is required. Anything bad you want to do in this world, you definitely need cash. But for going to spiritual world, it is free. So isn't it amazing and so counterintuitive that something that is better and freely available is something that we are not choosing, or most of the people in this world are not choosing. But something that is taking us to the hellish planets, and we have to spend our hard-earned money, sweat and blood, was spent in earning that money. That money we are spending to go to hell. It is so counterintuitive. And why is it so counterintuitive? Because we are under the influence of Maya Devi, Durga Mata, who basically reads our desires and makes arrangements accordingly, gives us friends accordingly, arranges our association accordingly. So just like a cloud platform, we are on a managed platform. The soul, covered by mind, intelligence, and false ego, covered by Pancha Mahabhutas, called as this body, is basically we are on a managed platform. And we think we are independent, only to know that last time I got angry and why couldn't I control it? Or last time I lied, why did I not control it? Or I forgot something really important, why couldn't I control it? Just like going to the airport, I have friends who went on a business trip forgetting passport at home, and they had to rush back to get that passport. Really, I mean, if we are really in charge of our thoughts, our memory, our decisions, our emotions, our bodily conditions, then we wouldn't be losing hair. We wouldn't be getting old, which is out of control. Our bodily functions are out of control. Our medical sicknesses are out of control, and we still think I am in charge, I am in control, and I decide everything. No, we don't decide everything. Only thing we decide is, do I want to live a spiritual life? Do I want to connect with God? Do I want to serve God? Or second option is, do I want to serve my selfish desires? Once you make this fundamental high level choice, everything else you are going for a ride. Just like in the Disneyland, you go sit in a ride and the bar comes and locks you. Your choice is over now. Next 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 50 minutes, you are in a ride, you cannot get out. Whether you like it or don't like it is your problem. Sometimes you're like, but you are in a ride. So just like that, every human life awards you a choice. Just like you go to an airport, you have a choice about which flight to take. But once you board a flight, you cannot say, I don't want to go to New York. I want to go to San Francisco. And you might be a billionaire. You cannot turn that plane. Okay. So making choices and then respecting the power of time after you have made the choices is important. We have made some choices in the past. As a result, we are where we are. The choices that we make today is our future. So it's very, very important to make the right choices. So at this point in time, I would give you 5 seconds, 10 seconds just to close your eyes and pray to whoever you believe in, whatever spiritual power you believe in. It could be Sai Baba, it could be Balaji, it could be Lord Shiva, it could be your family God, it could be your ancestors. Take 5, 10 seconds to pray. Please give me the ultimate truth. Please give me the ultimate knowledge. Please give me the direction for what is good for me. You decide. You let them decide what is good for you. Now, so far, we have made choices on our own. Let them make choices for you. If you worship Hanuman, if you worship Sai Baba, if you worship anything and everything, let those higher powers, Devi Ma, let those higher powers decide what is really good for me. So you just pray sincerely that instead of me telling you what I want, oh my Devi, Devata, God, Lord, you please decide what is good for me and let that happen. Right? Why I say so? Because all these Devatas are also in a very good relationship with God. And as a result, when we let them make the choice, they'll make the best choices for you. For example, you go ahead and go to Hanuman every Saturday, put some oil and say, Maruti, give me Maruti 2000, which used to be a very favorite car in our young age. Give me Maruti car, give me Maruti car, give me Maruti car. And Maruti will give you a Maruti car. They'll say, oh, I want to marry that particular girl or boy. Please give me that. Please give me that. Maruti may even give you that blessing. But if you ask Maruti, please do what is right for me. Please give me something that you believe is the right thing. He will give you a relationship and love of Lord Ram. Because for him, that is the highest, and that is the best, and that is the right. So we let them make choices for us. Sai Baba also very clearly said that read Bhagavad Gita, literally. And so we encourage you, if you are following Sai Baba, please read Bhagavad Gita, because that is how you make Sai Baba happy. So whoever you are following, if you follow them in very selfless service mode, they will bring you to the path of real spirituality. No doubt about that. So Bhagavad Gita talks about the choices we make and the results we get, which we will get into more details next session. And that will be our semi-final session. Followed by that will be our graduation ceremony. Why does the soul leave the spiritual world and come to this material world? Isn't this an interesting question? Because we were in the Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. We were enjoying the relationship of eternal bliss. There were Chintamanis fulfilling our desires. We had Kalparukshas. We had Kamadhenus. So many things to fulfill our desires. And we came to this world. How is that? So just like a child may say, Papa, I want to drive your car. Now, the child cannot really drive the real car on the real road. So as a result, Papa gets him a toy car, which he can play in the backyard, in the front yard. And that's a way of fulfilling the child's desire to become like his father. So just like that, when our desire grows that we want to be like God, we want to be at the center of the things and be powerful, Lord awards us an opportunity to experiment with that by separating from Him. Now, one may say Lord is separating us from Him, but He actually never gives up on us. What He does is, as a Paramatma, He is always in our heart. And because as a Paramatma, He is always in our heart, we, in the process of separating from God and making wrong choices, we go lower and lower and lower species of life. We can even be a mosquito, bacteria, a worm in the stool of a pig. But we all have in the region of heart Paramatma. That Paramatma does not give up on us, even if we are rotting condition of life. Even if we are in a very dirty place, even if we are a germ, Lord does not give up on us because He is our true real friend. Many your so-called real friends will switch if your financial situation changes. Let me write it down for you. If you become a billionaire, your friends will change. And if you are a billionaire and if you lose those billions and you become a simple person, again your friends will change. So your only friends are only reflection of what your social status is. But God never gives up on us. God is always in our heart. He is patiently and continuously giving us the freedom based on our law of karma based earnings of our karma. He's giving us freedom, and also He's hoping and waiting that we'll turn around and someday we will want to go back to Him. And because He's patiently waiting for that, He's continuously in our heart, watching our desires, observing our activities, and hoping that someday we will turn around. Because why? He loves us. And He wants us to be in the spiritual world only by choice, not by force. So He's waiting, and we, the rebellious souls, are saying, no, I don't want God in my life. Don't talk to me about God. Try inviting many people to this course. You will see the resistance. You will see the resistance amongst relatives. You will see the resistance amongst friends. You will see the resistance amongst neighbors. In Kali Yuga, most of us are very rebellious. In Satya Yuga, we had a chance to do tapascharya and go back, fail. In Treta Yuga, we had a chance to do lots of yajna karmas and go back, fail case. Then in Dwapar Yuga, we had lots of temple worship programs, but we failed that also. All these were Yuga Dharmas in those times. So in Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma is we chant in the name of the God and go back. And how many people are chanting the name of the God in the Kali Yuga? Very, very handful people, very small number of people. Why? Because we have developed a certain level of envy for God, hatred for God. And when we give up our hatred and envy for God, we become eligible to go back to Godhead. God is more eager than us. He's respecting our freedom. We should take responsibility for the choices we have made in the past, although we don't remember them. Today, a lot of ISKCON monks and preachers, they go to the jails for preaching. Most of the time, the prisoners in the jail will say, I was framed. It was not my mistake. I have been put into the jail for no reason. So even people sitting in the jail do not admit that it is their fault. Why would we agree? We don't even remember. We do not remember. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. For example, we don't remember exactly how we were born. That doesn't mean we were not born. So very fact we were born and we don't remember it, but we believe it. We can say we believe that we have achieved our independence from God at the cost of all these things. But the soul by nature is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda means what? Sat, eternal in nature. Chit has all the knowledge. Ananda, by nature happy. And the last part is Vigraha. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha is basically soul is eternal in nature. It is Chit. It is fully knowledgeable of what's its relationship with God and what are the duties to perform. Ananda, by definition, soul is happy. And it doesn't need to do something to become happy. It is just naturally happy. and in the Vigraha, it has a form of its own in the spiritual world. We're not formless sparks only. That's one way to be. But the real way to be in the spiritual world is to have a personality and a type of life and a relationship with God. And from that very happy stage, just like fish in the Pacific Ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean, is swimming nicely and it doesn't need anything else to become happy. It is getting its food, it's swimming around, it's getting its oxygen through the water that it is around. So it is surrounded by things of necessity. It is not short on anything and it's living its life, right? It doesn't need to do something different. The fish doesn't say, I want to play cricket. I'm getting bored. It doesn't work like that. You take the same fish and bring it out into the human civilization, bring it into a nice big $1 million house in some nice state like Hawaii, say for example, right? And offer it alcohol, cigarette, and money and phones and everything. What is the fish doing? The fish is flapping unhappily, saying, please, please, I do not want your 401k and big job and beautiful wife and all that nonsense. Please, please, please let me go back to the water. Isn't it true? So just like the fish in the water is naturally happy, a soul in the spiritual world is naturally happy. Very, very, very naturally happy. And coming into this material world, the soul, the spiritual spark, is now wrapped around with material powers, the powers of this world, which is mind, intelligence, ego, Panchamahabhutas. That's like a jail. and a soul which could at will fly anywhere it wanted is now has to buy an air ticket to go to the motherland. Very, very, and for business and for everything, we need to physical modes of travel because we lost our ability to fly wherever we wanted. Narad Muni, our Acharya, spiritual Acharya, flies anywhere and everywhere he wants for the purpose of preaching. He can go to Patal Loka, he can go to Swarga Loka, he can go to Bhuloka, he can go to Dwaraka, he can go to Vaikuntha, he can go to Goloka. He can go wherever he wants but what he's doing? He's always taking the name of the Lord. So we have lost our natural happiness and capabilities in the process of being rebellious with God. And we are not happy. We're not happy because God is absent in our life. And also we are not in our spiritual form right now. It is covered by the material forms and the illusion of being the body. So we are in the Asat, Achit, Nirananda stage. So the Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha now became a Asat, Achit, Nirananda stage. No eternity. Everything is all time like, which insurance should I buy? Should I buy life insurance? Should I buy medical insurance? Should I buy earthquake insurance? Should I buy job loss insurance? Should I buy family separation insurance? What kind of insurances they sell? You go and buy a phone adapter and they will say, would you like to pay 10% more and get a 3-year warranty instead of the 1-year warranty? So we are so much surrounded by uncertainty. This insurance business is always running good because we are in the situation of Asat, but our original nature is Sat. And then Chit. We originally knew who we are and what we are and what we are supposed to do. And now we are so lost that we have to continuously flood ourselves with, this is the information age, right? Internet. So we flood ourselves with physical newspapers, then digital newspapers, then news on the web, then Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp messages, SMSs, and phone calls. All these just to know what is going on around, what's up. So just to know what's going on. And then I forgot, television, radio, conferences. So we are surrounded to know. We are always not knowing. We want to know. And that is the from Chit stage to Achit stage. Because we do not know. We have to know. We have to fill our life with so much of information, most of which is garbage and repeating and useless and becomes extremely useless by next day. But we are spending our time. And those who do stocks and trading, they're always trying to find out how to get ahead of each other. Just like, So we're trying to outcompete each other in earning the wealth, and we're trying to fool each other in earning the wealth. And that is the nature of this achit. Um, so, Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. We, by nature, we're extremely happy in connection with God. And now we're trying to fill that void with so much other happinesses. So we're trying to fill that with relationships, fill that with electronics, fill that with vacations, fill that with books, fill that with everything that we surround ourselves in life, possessions, hobbies. But it does not get complete. It is not over. As a result, even 80-year-old people, 90-year-old people, 100-year-old people don't have purified desires to connect with God. They still want more and more of this world. They're only more miserable that now the body is not supporting. And because the body is not supporting their material desires, they want to go for medications which will enhance their pleasures of life. And those medications actually make them more miserable. So that is the result of not having desires under control. So before we get into that very, very miserable state of a soul that is full of desires of this world, only enhanced in the process of fulfilling them, we could be basically taking charge of the situation, and we could be putting our desires in control. Basically, we can be in control of our desires. That's the only way to become happy, because if the desires are controlling us, there is no way we can be happy. We are stretched. We are stretched into fulfilling those desires. Charity, many people say, hey, you Hare Krishna, you are only chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, but the world is suffering so much. People are not having food, people are not having clothes, people are not having medicines, people are not having drinking water, people are becoming victims of crime, people are suffering, whole world is suffering, and you guys are just like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, the reality is, if a child is separated from the parents, you give the child anything, the child will not be happy. The child wants to reconnect with the parents. Isn't it true? And while the child is lost from its parents, you keep throwing one piece of bread at the child, you keep throwing one shirt and pant over there, and you feel like you have done something great. Is that the right? I mean, it's necessary, but is it the right level of charity? The real charity is you connect the child back with the parent. And because the parent is a billionaire, parent has unlimited money, just by connecting with the parent, you can take care of the child forever, because the rest of the life, you don't have to worry about the child. We all are also the children of God, and we are separated from God, and God has everything in abundance and unlimited. And by eliminating our misunderstanding about God, by clarifying our relationship with God, by reconnecting our life with God, basically we are empowering that soul to receive the mercy of God and the protection of God in every stage and phase of life and life after life, no matter where that soul is in future. Because reconnection with God is source of everything to become better. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Everything inauspicious in life will go away by continuous connection to Bhagavata. Bhagavata is at two levels, Bhagavatam as a book and Bhagavatam as a person. So there are people who are person Bhagavatas, the great saintly people like Santa Tukaram Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Mahaprabhu, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkar Acharya, so many acharyas from the past and even present day. They are the walking Bhagavatas. And by Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya means by continuous association with Bhagavata book and Bhagavata person, anything inauspicious in our life will go away. Why? First thing first, we'll make choices under guidance. And when we make choices under our guidance, even if you get like the salary increase by shifting your job into Las Vegas, and you ask your spiritual coach, is this a good idea? And the coach will say, think about every aspect of your life before you make that decision, because very fact you'll be in Las Vegas, there is also a chance that you'll be attracted to the sinful activities over there. It will become the new normal, and your next life may not be as good as if you are in the temple vicinity of Samamish serving nicely. So we start to become careful about how we make our life decisions. That is why connection with devotees under the guidance, having a spiritual coach, having a spiritual teacher, having a spiritual guru is definitely worthwhile. And the best way to do that is to continuously attend Bhagavad Gita classes. And those Bhagavad Gita classes are amply available. In pandemic, we have them online. And so we will give you the connections to the continuous study of Bhagavad Gita going forward after these 2-3 sessions. But that is the way to keep inauspicious things out of our life. And things which are already inauspicious in our life will also start to reduce and eliminate. That is the power of connecting a soul with God. So charity at a body level is throw some bread, throw some medicine, throw some thing and feel that you have done something great, which is necessity. But it is not a complete solution, because who will feed that person again and again and again and again? That is not guaranteed. Life after life, that is not guaranteed. But if you connect that person to God, yes, it is guaranteed. We can guarantee you that the soul that goes back to spiritual world is fully taken care of, doesn't have to struggle. And on the path back to the God is also taken care of. We don't have to even worry about that. So the real charity is the charity of spiritual knowledge. The real charity is charity at the level of soul. And just like you cannot go to the tire puncture shop and ask for a cheese pizza, can you? Neither you can go to the cheesecake factory and ask for a tire puncture. Can you? No. In every shop, there is a specialty. Our specialty is we help you at a soul level, and hence what you get from ISKCON is spiritual knowledge, which is absolutely rare and missing in this world. In the process, we are also offering millions and millions and millions of plates of prasadam every day around the world for free. And we appreciate all the people who support us in that effort. So it is just not God's name. It is not just spiritual knowledge. It's also tummy full vegetarian food. Like in Seattle area, we have a food truck program where the food truck goes 5 days a week around the communities of Seattle distributing free food. And that food is not ordinary. It is really well made. And if you eat that, you'll realize even we don't cook at home such a good food every day. It's halwa, chapati, sabji, dal, rice, everything nicely made. Papad, pakodas. So yummy food is given to all the people without any barrier, no expectation, no qualification. Just come and grab it. So yes, we are offering what is at the body level also, but it helps us spiritually because it is prasadam. We have to revive our relationship, eternal relationship with the Father God to become truly happy. That's the message. As I explained you, because Lord is in our heart and He will follow us life after life after life till we are away from Him. And no matter which life form we get into, no matter how degraded that life form is, no matter how yucky place we are in, God will never give up on us. Our friends will give up on us. If you misbehave, parents will give up on us. If you go cuckoo, kids will give up on us. But God never gives up on us. So who is the real friend? And if He's the real friend, why should we ignore Him? Aren't we also looking for real friends? And relationships between devotees and God is to be studied from the other devotees. For example, Lord Hanuman, who is favorite of everyone around the world. Why? Because he is so much in service mood and he was so naturally happy serving Lord Sri Ram and Mother Sita. He risked his life. He went through lots of hard work and effort. And he was very, 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 very powerful person. But he was never proud about it. Neither he never thought, I am better than God because I am carrying God on my shoulders. I am so cool. I can find his wife. He cannot find his wife. There was never any arrogant thinking in Lord Hanuman's activities. He was always extremely humble and in loving mood of service with God. But nowadays you will see some yogis, they earn little yogic powers from here and there. And then they start relating with our Puranas, our Lord Sita, Ram, Hanuman, or Krishna, or Lord Ram. They start talking about them like ordinary people. These are not ordinary people, right? This is our heritage, this is our culture, this is our connection to God. And if we are not reverent towards our own heritage, I don't know who can save us. The soul is a cooperator, not a competitor. We're not supposed to compete with God and say, I am God, because yes, when did this philosophy evolve? Last 1,000 years. That I am God, I am God, I am God. Okay, what happened last 1,000 years? Last 1,000 years is the downhill of Hinduism. Downhill. We have been so ransacked, our temples have been destroyed, our universities have been destroyed. How did that all happen? Well, if you are God, why couldn't you stop it? So anyone who says, I am God, we just have to ask them simple question. Last 1,000 years, we started believing, some of us, not everyone, I am God, I am God. Okay, if you are God, why the Hinduism is going down? How can we become happy? By watering the root. Just like if you have some plants at house or farm or anywhere, do you go around watering every leaf, every branch, every fruit, or do you just water the root? So just like we water the root of the tree and the tree gets everything that is necessary from the roots, likewise, Lord is at the root of the existence. And by reconnecting with our roots, by reconnecting with God, reposing our loving service at the feet of the Lord, the life becomes naturally happy. We don't need to strive and fight to become happy. We just become naturally happy. Why? Because the happiness tap in our heart is controlled by who? It is by Lord. So by reconnecting with God, our happiness tap is fully open, and all the happiness flows in our heart, little more than how much we can handle. That much happiness will flow. So we need to experiment with that. Just like body has 9 holes. If nobody told you, count it. Our body has 9 holes, right? And but we only feed through the mouth to the stomach, and our whole body gets the empowerment. Can you imagine now we're trying to push pakoda through here also, because that is also another hole? No, there is a right way to nourish the body, which is you feed it to the mouth and it goes to the stomach. The stomach will churn, create the energy, and give it to the whole body. Just like the energy flows through the stomach to the whole body, no competition, that's the method. Happiness also flows by connecting with God. We all become happy. We don't need to separately try to become happy. The other happinesses that we are chasing are temporary, and in the process, they will create misery only. For example, 4 years back, my kids were in middle school. I gave them phones, high quality phones, Android phones. And one of the kids broke it. And it produced more unhappiness than the happiness it produced by getting the phone. So anything temporary will ultimately produce unhappiness. Now the finger, which is feeding the mouth, says in a non-cooperative manner, I will not feed the mouth. I want to eat it myself. Can the finger actually eat itself? It is not even possible. So the finger has to cooperate by feeding it to the mouth. That is how, by cooperation with God's arrangement and system, we can actually become more happy. So that connection, cooperation is called as devotional service or bhakti parampara. So we have a choice. We can be part of God's family and enjoy our eternal relationship with God forever and be happy, or we try to chase things of this world, rebel from God, and then see if we can become happy. So the happiness over here is illusory in nature, and hence trying to chase it will actually give us unhappiness over a period of time. There is a funny video which I'll send you on the web. So where are we now, right? Every new city that gets built, how do you design a new city? Oh, first we have to have a residential arrangement. Okay, what's next? We need hospitals. Okay, great. What's next? We need schools. Yes, great. We need working places. Yes. We need places of worship. Yes. We need sports grounds. Yes. What else? Transportation. Yes. What else? We also need a jail. And natural question is, we even not haven't created the city yet. Why are we talking about jail? Well, if we don't have jail, we know some people, all these people in the city are free, right? That freedom will naturally lead to some people misusing the free will, the freedom. And if they break the law, there needs to be a place for them to be put into the correction place so that other people are safe. Okay. And these people get time to think, reflect, and improve their thinking. Just like we create jail in every new city that we build, God also knows that there are rebellious souls. By nature, free will means choice. Choice means good use or bad use. And when there is a bad use, it needs to be improved upon. So this world is also like a jail. If we live a life aligned with God and nature, as taught in the Vedic scriptures, one can live a very healthy heart and return to spiritual world. We don't need to be here in the jail, which is our original home. The spiritual world is our original home, where the eternal society, friendship, and love can be experienced, and it is waiting for us. So there are innumerable, unlimited number of spiritual planets in the spiritual world. There is Ayodhya Dham, there is a Vaikuntha Dham, all these different incarnations of God that we see over here as an advertisement, Vamandev, Kurmadev, all these wonderful incarnations, Narsimhadev, these are all spiritual planets out there. So if you are a Narsimha devotee, then you can go to the Narsimha planet. If you are a Kurmadev devotee, you can go to the Kurma planet. If you are a Varahadev devotee, you can go to the Varahadev planet. So if you are a devotee of Lord Sri Ram, in the Vaikuntha, there is Ayodhya Dham. You can go to the eternal Ayodhya Dham. The Dham over here, Ayodhya Dham over here, is basically the reflection of the spiritual Ayodhya Dham, but it is in this world. Likewise, Goloka Vrindavan is there in the spiritual world, and then there is a Bhuloka Vrindavan. So these eternal dhams which are there on the face of the earth that we have over here are actually reflections of the original dhams. So that is why we go to this dham or the ISKCON temples or Krishna Vishnu temples, which are like the embassies of the spiritual world, where we can get our green card, visa, passport, everything for the spiritual world. That is why we are supposed to visit temples as frequently as possible. If possible, relocate near the temple. It becomes easy to go to temple, engage in the activities which are going on over there, develop friendship with people who are there. Then it becomes a natural journey. It is not an unusual thing to do. It becomes a new normal to be devotional. We'll skip the quiz, get to the point. What are demonic things? Basically, rebelling against God's laws is rebellious. Obeying God's laws is divine. Selfish about me, mine. Whereas some people are selfless. They're like, this is all God's existence. How I can live this better than how I found it, how I can serve all the God's children, how I can remember God in everything I do, how I can be responsible to God's expectations. In the demonic nature, one considers that I have achieved this by my power. Many people will tell you, I am a self-made man. Really? Did you wash your potty when you were a child? But, or did you change your own diaper? When you were 3 months old, who was feeding you? That God who gives us birth and also gives milk in the mother's body right at the moment of birth. Look at the engineering. Look at the timing. Look at the arrangement. That same God is feeding us all the time. Say, for example, Prahlad Maharaj, when he was, his dad, Hiranyakashipu, who got mad at him, and he put him in jail because Prahlad wouldn't stop taking Lord Vishnu's name. And Hiranyakashipu, a demon king, was mad. And And then he was not being given good food. So in the Vaikuntha planet, Lakshmi was talking to Narayana saying that, looks like Prahlad is hungry. And Narayana arranges like Chappana Bhoga, 56 types of variety of food for Prahlad to eat. And the jail keepers, they run to the father Hiranyakashipu and say, we didn't give it, but Prahlad is eating 56 types of feast items. And Hiranyakashipu comes angrily and asks Prahlad, where did you get this food from, Prahlad? And Prahlad said, oh father, who was feeding you when you were in your mother's womb? When you are in your mother's tummy, who is feeding you the food? That same person is feeding me now. What confuses you so much? Very amazing realization. If God can feed us in the tummy of our mother, why can't God feed us outside the tummy of the mother? Considers everything as a gift and mercy of God. There are two simple formulas to see God at the end of this life. If something good happens, thank you, God. If something bad happens, thank you, God. This could have been worse. And then the short-term happiness, just do it. Eat, drink, be merry. That is the mantra in the younger generation, I would say. Just be happy. Just do what you like. But, the smart person will say, think twice before acting, because it could be wrong, it could be unethical, it could be criminal, or it could be sinful. The immediate pleasures are becoming very important. And so is the fast sense gratification industry. There was a time when people used to watch like 4-hour Sholay movie to become happy. Now it is like, if it is more than 40 seconds, it's too long. So I heartily congratulate all the members of this forum and anyone watching the recordings, because we are not making 3-minute videos, 2-minute videos. These are like 1 hour, 2-hour videos. And you are patiently watching. It is not of this world. It is completely spiritual in nature. Eternal life of bliss and knowledge is the goal. If you are in the divine mood, then your goals are different. So every moment we are making choices. Duryodhana was not eating pizza, but Duryodhana is on the demonic side because he wanted things of this world. Whereas if you look at Yudhishthira, he didn't care about things of this world. He wanted things of the next world. Likewise, the modern atheistic culture also teaches you that how they focus a lot on all these isms that will try to make you happy now and here. And they don't really make you happy, but they try. But the saintly devotees of the God will try to make you happy eternally, permanently, forever. And a soul that leaves the spiritual world, arrives into this world, tries to create a family of its own, a world of its own, tries to become the Brahma of this universe by controlling the things around them, and forgets the true identity as a soul. And because the person has forgotten who that person is really and foolishly thinks himself to be the material body made out of flesh and bones, that is where he loses the intelligence and loses the game of real happiness. This material universe, which is made out of 14 planetary systems, in the center is the Bhuloka, right? The earthly planetary system. And then above that, we have various planetary systems such as Bhurloka, Swargaloka, Maharloka, Janarloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka. These are all higher planetary systems. So if you are pious by nature but not completely achieved your spiritual life yet, then even within this universe, you get higher and higher and higher planetary systems of life after life. Again, that life is longer, better, healthier, and you have higher access to spirituality. But if we misuse our freedom, then what happens? We are put into the lower planetary systems, which are like Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Patala. All these lower planetary systems are basically the hellish planetary systems where you have less and less choice. Just like in a green field, a cow is grazing. It can have 1 foot rope or it can have 30 feet rope. Ultimately, there is a rope. So we are bound in the material world. Even as a Brahma, we are bound. But the rope can be longer, more free will, more choices, more freedom, more assets, more longer life, sturdier life. So the choice is really ours. We are bound either way, but you have greater freedom and greater, less miseries, so to say. But what happens In the higher planetary systems, life is so much full of fun, especially in the Swargaloka. The life is so much full of fun. It is really difficult to focus on real spirituality because happiness is too much. And in the lower planetary systems, the misery, the trouble is so much that it is very difficult to focus on spirituality. Earthly planetary system where life, and especially in Kali Yuga, life is only 100 years and we lose 25, 50 years just before we know about spirituality. And then that's very little time left compared to Brahma's 4.3 billion life of years, years of life, or as a soul, as an eternal nature. This 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years of spiritual life is nothing. It's like a flash. Even Devatas pray that can we get life in the Bharatvarsha, means in the Vedic culture, so that this can be our last life. If Devatas are praying for us and if we have it, why wouldn't we take the best benefit of it, right? So this is one universe. Like that, there are unlimited number of universes in the material world. Then there is a Brahma Jyoti in the middle. Above the Brahma Jyoti, then you have Sadashiv Mahaloka, you have Ayodhya Dham. Then there are so many other Vaikuntha planets which are full of spiritual incarnations of Lord, and you can reconnect with them as necessary. And everything above the Brahma Jyoti is eternal in nature. Everything under the Brahma Jyoti, including the 14 planetary systems up to Brahmaloka, are temporary in nature, and they go through periodic annihilation. And because they go through periodic annihilation, that is why Krishna says, if you come to my abode, you will never go back again. Because, you buy a wonderful house in beautiful place in America and spend your life paying the mortgage, and then you celebrate because now you're mortgage free, only to find out that if the state government decides to vacate that area, you have to vacate. Or federal government decides to build a Hubble Space Center, you have to vacate. Or if none of that happens, at the point of death, you need to vacate. Or you become too old, you cannot maintain the house, you have to vacate. So there is nothing permanent in this world. And even if you survive all that, at the point of death, you have to vacate. Yes? So there is no permanent place in this world, no matter what. And if you really want something permanent, we need to go back to spiritual world. This is a very temporary place. So how long we will keep investing into the temporary places? This life, we can be PhDs, we can be presenting papers in the conferences, we could be famous. And then we could be a doctor talking, giving opinions on CNNs. And then next life, again, we are Baba, black sheep, A, B, C, D, and cartoon, start learning very, very 1, 2, 3, 4. So life is like that. You can study a lot of this life, and next life you start again, studying it again. And this repetition can be saved just by going back. We don't need to be here. So the choice that we are making, the choice basically. Lord's pastimes, Lord's activities, Lord's leelas are so amazing, so enlivening, and they are so full of happiness. They give us so much of happiness in the spiritual world. It's never boring. It's never dull. Anandam Buddhivardhanam. Happiness is always on the growing side. And the spiritual emotions that arouse in connection with God, sometimes it can be happiness, sometimes it can be separation. Whether what you read in Ramayana, what you read in the Krishna Lila, or what you read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, basically they arouse our emotions in relationship with God. And those emotions we relish and cherish, and we go through the highs and lows, and it gives us like the internal spiritual happiness. And that is the happiness we can relish when we read the stories of Lord. So that brings us to the end of today's session. And next time we'll talk about, okay, this what you're talking about is great, but we still have questions. Like then why there are so many religions, right? So we will dive into why there are so many religions. We will also get into the A, B, C, D, E formula. The formula that can perfect our lives now and here without going to Himalayas, without sacrificing anything. We can add God in our life just like we add salt in our food. And suddenly you will realize the food is more yummy. The life is more yummy because now we have God in our life, and everything is done without externally, nothing will change. Internally, our state of happiness, our outlook, and our perspective will change about the same thing that I was doing yesterday. Now I'm doing it in a different mood, and that mood changes everything. So that's the end of today's session. Happy to take any questions. Stop sharing.
Prabhu, in the chat window, there is a one question from Shekhar Singhal, Prabhuji. In order to pursue a spiritual life, what kind of spiritual practice should we follow?
That's an awesome question. And the next session is almost fully dedicated to that, right? The whole ABCDE formula will take us through that. Our promise is the spiritual methods do not need anything weird. We can live in our family life. We can love our family. We can do our job with more sincerity, and we can go back to Godhead this lifetime. That's our promise. Just by cultivating our relationship with God internally. How to cultivate our relationship with God is the formula that we will give in the next class. It's ABCDE, Association of Devotees, B for books, C for chanting, D for diet, and E for engagement. I'm just giving the glimpse of what is coming. But yes, that's an excellent question. That means the flow of our presentations is right, because we are able to, inside this question, which is supposed to be our next slide, we'll quickly touch upon the various religions and the commonality, and then into the ABCD formula. Is that okay, Shekhar Prabhu?
Yes, sir. It is okay. Excellent answer. Thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. Any other questions for today?
And I'm looking forward to the next session.
We also wait for that. We enjoy this session so much. We also pass our 7 days just waiting for the next.
Thank you.
Awesome. So with those, sorry, there is another question, Anuji. Would it be considered a sin to not believe in God? That's an excellent question. So the definition of sin is when you are not following God's laws and you are going against it, basically. So if you do not believe in God himself, then is that sinful? Well, what happens, and we will learn that in the law of karma session, which Prabhuji will present, and I believe then it will be one after next. If you accept God's presence and God's laws, then God will look forward to helping you coming back to the spiritual world, right? Because saying, okay, this soul is done playing around, now it's time to go home, and let me make it easy for this soul. But the soul that says, I am not done playing here, I don't want God, I don't want to go home, SL world mein rahunga main, ghar nahi jaunga main. Okay, you think you're enjoying and you think you can continue to enjoy, and for you God does not exist, then when we say, oh, that is just a stone, that's just a statue, then God says, okay, so you are also stone for me. What does that mean? In your heart, God is always there watching, waiting for you to think about returning, but God will let you be free in choosing your actions and reactions in this world and enjoying that. So then you are depending on your own karma. Now, if you come from good karmic background for a long time, if there is no major suffering, you will feel like even without believing in God, it is looking so good. What is the problem? Why I have to do God consciousness? Just like you take a plunge from a very tall tower. You went uphill, climbing. Now you decide to jump. It will take a couple of minutes to hit the bottom. Those 2 minutes, air is nice, it is breezing, it is cool, you have full freedom, and you feel like you are flying. So until you get to the point where you reach the bottom of the valley and hit the ground, that fall down period looks very pleasant. Only to realize now you have hit the bottom and you're either hurt or dead. So like that, karmically also, when we come from higher karmic background, then decide to give up on everything that we know and heard and learned from the past lives. And we say, I just want to be cool. I just want to be easy. I don't want to believe in God. God will not punish you. Just for not believing in God, God will not punish you. Because He believes in your free will. He believes, He has given that free will to you. Even He will not take it away from you. But at this point in time, if you do good things, you will live a good life. If you do bad things, you will live bad life. You'll be completely on your karma. And the nature of karma is so entangling that I might be sitting here and playing a video game and a mosquito dies under me. Because it's the mosquito sits, I sit on a mosquito, the mosquito died. I don't even know that the mosquito died. But by law of karma, now I need to become a mosquito and go around biting people and sucking their blood and passing malaria. And then somebody claps and that's my death. I need to go through that. Now imagine how many other things happen inherently that we don't even notice and that we need to suffer through that also. That is how we are stuck in this wheel of samsara, life after life after life, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, until we get to the point where the suffering becomes more than our happiness and we start to realize that, gosh, I'm not enjoying and I need to figure out a better way. That is where somebody taps on our shoulder, forwards a message, Bhagavad Gita class, introduction to spirituality, something. That is our opportunity to grab spiritual path before it is too late, before our karma balance goes down so much that it becomes nearly impossible, because we're struggling for food, we're struggling for water, we're struggling for basic relationships, then becoming God conscious becomes harder. It's easier when our social life is also a bit normal. So I would say spiritual life in the human life is an opportunity. We can grab it. If we do not grab it, we are on our own, but God will not punish us just for not believing in Him, because He has granted that free will to us. Does that answer the question, Anuji? So next question is Bhanuji. As a law of karma prevails, how to avail God's help? One example would help. That is awesome question. So the law of karma is a very complex conversation. That is why we have a dedicated session for that. But what happens is the sincerity with which we take up spiritual life, God will be 10 times more sincere in helping us out. Our current definition of spirituality is, I will go to temple and treat God like a Tambi in the Udupi hotel in Mumbai and give him a very long list of things to bring. And if the things don't come quickly, again we'll ring the bell and say, hey Tambi, what happened? Where is my idli, dosa, malai maike, chai, coffee? Where is it? I asked you 5 minutes back. So like that, we also go to God and treat him like a waiter and give him a long list of things to deliver. Our relationship with God can be in the mood of service. In the pure devotional stage, the competition between God and His pure devotees are, God, I do not want anything from you. I want to serve you. And God is saying, oh my dear pure devotee, what can I do for you? There is a competition to serve each other. But in the material world, physical world, there is a competition to serve yourself. Like, how can I give you less and get more? And that is where there is a change of mood. Like Hanuman never asked for anything. He only served. The example of 5 Pandavas' mother Kunti Devi, you can read the prayers of Kunti Devi, where the Kunti Devi says, my husband died, my kids were attempted to be killed, my family was attempted to be burnt, my kids were poisoned, they were drowned, and then there was a war. my daughter-in-law was disrobed or attempted to disrobe in the whole assembly of Kauravas. We went through so many troubles, Krishna. But all those times you were present with us, you were along with us, and you were helping us. And hence, now that all our problems are over, if you are going to go away from Hastinapur to Dwarka, because our problems are over, your separation from us is so hard on us that I would pray, let all those problems come back. How many people who have lived through the life of Kunti Maharani, the life of suffering, the life of being a vidwa, the life of sweet 5 children being attempted to be killed by these cousins, be trying to be burnt into the house made out of that lakh. So these kind of situations, one having gone through, one comes to the stage where now there are no more problems. And if Krishna is leaving, one may say, thank you, Krishna, for helping us all the way. We truly appreciate. Bye-bye. But she's saying, no, Krishna, your presence in our life, your association around us is so very enlivening, so very important, so much so that if all those problems come back, that is better than you leaving us right now. When we develop that mood, Lord Sri Krishna will also go out of way to help us. Kutumba, when we say family, Kutumba means we are ready to do any kutaniti to take care of our family members. Tomorrow, if we have to feed our family, if we have to feed our children, we will go to any extent to make that happen. That's why it is called as a Kutumba. So for Krishna, the Pandavas were his Kutumba. So Krishna went through nth level to support his Pandavas, right? So it's all about building the relationship with God. God is waiting to help us. Does that help? That's Alkaji. Thank you for your compliment. Any other questions? Any reflections? Any comment? Any points that you would like to rephrase? Feel free.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That helps. Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you, Balaji. All right. We truly appreciate you attending this class. It is not ordinary in the middle of Kali Yuga, surrounded by internet and so many attractive things. You are making time for a spiritual conversation. That says a lot about where you are in your spiritual life. With deep heart, we offer our prayers for your perfection in your spiritual life. I also ask all of you to pray for our spiritual life because all we have is prayers for each other. And we all are stuck in a mud and we have to hold our hands and get out of here. And in the process, take as many friends and family back with us. We don't belong here. We don't need to be here. And we need to figure out our way back. It's our sincere effort. We're corporate people with families. We also have time management challenges. We make our time, you make our time. That is how together we figure out our way back to Godhead. With that, we will learn about the multiple religions and the formula ABCDE. That will be the concluding session, followed by Law of Karma special session by His Grace Ramamukunda Prabhu. Followed by that, we will have a graduation ceremony where all of you will receive wonderful certificates. We'll ask for your names and everything, but we'll have your certificates ready to be distributed. We will let you speak for a couple of minutes, each one of you, about what are your reflections. And that will be the graduation ceremony. After that, we will give you announcement around that time frame. We'll give you announcement for the continuous study of Bhagavad Gita classes. And then maybe a break of a week or so around March 20th, we will restart the new batch where we ask each one of you to think of who are the people who are very dear and near to me, who could benefit from this, who could be out of frustration by learning about this, that they should attend this course. And you forward the invitation to them, you talk to them for 5 minutes. And ideally, if one person finds value, one person should bring 5 people. Isn't it true? And if we follow that formula, very soon the whole earth will learn about Bhagavad Gita and Lord and ABCDE formula. And that way, the problems of the world are not very difficult to solve actually. If we change our attitude, life gets nicer very quickly. Look at the amount of money we are spending on warfare, on chemical weapons, biological weapons, physical weapons, all that can be converted into the funding for food, funding for schooling, funding for value education system, and the whole mankind could get better. So we need to do our part. We want to be part of the solution. We don't want to be part of the problem. Either we are part of the problem or we are part of the solution. So we have a choice to make here. I would say passive spirituality is one thing for our own benefit. We should take up active spirituality by engaging more and more children of God. God becomes most happy by that. Written in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, God says that those who try to spread the spiritual knowledge are most dear to me. So what an easy way to become dear to God is trying to explain it to more people, to either take up the message of Bhagavad Gita, attend a device class. And the spiritual path is free. The path to hell is paid for. Even if you explain that to people, there is a chance of people taking spiritual life. I would say practice your influencing skills, which we take corporate seminars on. But the spiritual life is also the life of influencing others in a positive way. It's an eternal influence, and it cannot be bought back. You can only pay it forward. So with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a wonderful class, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Tanu Brinda Keshavati
Kadaचित् कालिन्दीतटवे पिना सङ्गीतकरावो
कदाचित् कालिन्दीतटवे पिना सङ्गीतकरावो
मोदाविदीनारीवदन कमलस्वादमधुपा
मुदाविदीनारीवदन कमलस्वादमधुपा
शम्भु ब्रह्मा मदपति गणेश चित्तपादो
नमः शम्भु ब्रह्मा मदपति गणेश चित्तपादो
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
तुझे सरे वेणुं से रसी सिद्धि विक्षं कथिताते
तुझे सरे वेणुं से रसी सिद्धि विक्षं कथिताते
दुःखलां नेत्रान्त सहचर कटाक्षं विदधते
दुःखलां नेत्रान्त सहचर कटाक्षं विदधते
सदा श्रीमद्वृन्दावन वसति लीला परिचयो
सदा श्रीमद्वृन्दावन वसति लीला परिचयो
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
महाबोधिस्थिरे कानकरुचिरे नीलशिखारे
महाबोधिस्थिरे कानकरुचिरे नीलशिखारे
वसन्त सदन्त सहज बलभद्रेण बलिना
वसन्त सदन्त सहज बलभद्रेण बलिना
सुभद्रा मध्यस्था सकला सुरसेवा वसरदो
सुभद्रा मध्यस्था सकला सुरसेवा वसरदो
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
कृपा बलवारास जला जलादा क्षीरो
कृपा परवारस जलसुरदोषेणुचिरो
रमावाणि रामासुरदामलपङ्केरुहमुखः
रमावणि रामसुरदमलपङ्केरुहमुखः
सुरेन्द्रराराध्य श्रुतिगणशिखागीतचरितो
सुरेन्द्रराजा श्रुतिगणशिखागीतचरितो
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे
रथारूढो गच्छन् पथिमीलिता बुद्धेव पटलैः
रथारूढो गच्छन् पथिमीलिता बुद्धेव पटलैः
प्रतिपदभावं प्रतिपदमुपागमः न्यसदयः
Shruti Pradubhavam Pratipalamupakarnyasadaya
दया सुंदर बंधु सकल जगत्तं सिंधु सुतया
Daya Sindhu Bandhu Sakala Jagatam Sindhu Sutaya
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पतगामी भवतु मे
Jagannath Swami Narayana Patagami Bhavatu Me
परां ब्रह्म पीडा को वलया गलोत्फुल्ल नयनो
Param Brahma Pida Kuvala Yadalotlodanayano
निवासी नीलादो निहिता चरणो नंत शिरसी
Nilajani Gita Charano Nanta Shirasi
दशानंदी राधा सरसा बपुर आलिंगन शुको
Dasanande Radha Sarasa Bapura Lingana Sukha
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पतगामी भवतु मे
Jagannath Swami Narayana Patagami Bhavatu Me
नले अक्षयान्यान चकान कामानित्य विभावम्
Navila Chirajanya Chakana Kamani Prabhavam
नये याचेहं राण्यं सकल जनकाम्यं वरवदम्
Nayachayam Ramyam Sakala Janakamyam Balavadu
सदा काले काले प्रमत पतिना गीत चरितो
Sada Kale Kale Pramata Patina Gita Charita
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पतगामी भवतु मे
Jagannath Swami Narayana Patagami Bhavatu Me
सदा संसारं ततरमसारं शिरपते
Varatam Samsaram Dhutataram Surapate
परेतं पवनं वितते मपरं यादवपते
Varatam Pavanam Vitatim Aparam Yadavapate
अहो दिने नाते निहिता चरणो निश्चितमेदम्
Aho Dine Nate Nihita Charano Nishritamidam
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पतगामी भवतु मे
Jagannath Swami Narayana Patagami Bhavatu Me
पुस्तक पे मुझे देगा
No, इसके दे you want to no you cannot move to
हाँ
if she don't know
पुस्तक तुम पुढे ठेवून पुस्तक नाही तर दुसरं हे लावू का पुस्तक ते पुस्तक ठेवू का हं
then did you go and see she wants to be yeah but all of the paragraphs are the same too yeah because we're going to
Start.
Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishore.
Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishore.
Radha Krishna Pranamora Jugala Kishore.
Radha Krishna
Thank you,
Hare
bro.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. Tulasi, Tani, that was so wonderful. Would you like to
Thank
just
you.
continue another 2 hours, please? My vote will be you guys continue. I can just listen.
Please continue, bro, with our class.
Devotee must be eager to hear you, Prabhu.
You want to relish your pastime.
Yeah.
Last time telling.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
I will let Tanvi and Tulsi go if they promise to teach me how they sing so wonderfully. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Welcome to today's class.